This is your main man Andrew Wood coming back, and I'm going to be doing a video that was requested by one of my new users, Sadi Lindsay 4. And always, guys, feel free to request videos from me. I'm happy to do them. Of course, sometimes I might forget, so do not feel, shy about poking me. I'll get to them eventually. A lot of times when people do request videos, I'm like, well, yeah, I was going to get that anyway. I had that idea, or it's something that I already had planned to talk about. But this is something I had not planned to talk about at all. But he said, this is a vicarious throw for him. He really want to hear about the experience. Now, what I'm going to talk about is the Mage the Ascension game my wife started in 2004. And we still actually technically play a little bit. The game isn't completely done, but we're down to maybe 2 game sessions a year, 3 game sessions a year, something like that. And just due to her incredibly busy schedule now, that she's out of grad school, she has her doctorate in psychology. She's a psychologist, and she's very, 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 very busy. Comparatively to grad school, when somehow she had free time, just a little bit of it comparatively to the almost no free time she has now. And we played a lot, and I'm going to talk about some of the props we used for the game before I go further. We had 3. 2 are no longer in existence, so let me just describe those to you. We had a whiteboard that used a what erase marker, and we'd write out who was in what cabal, what the cabal's purpose was, and then we'd keep track of voting records, who's voting on what, and we'll get to why that was important in a minute. So we had this big whiteboard that had all that in it in the apartment, and then we had another thing she'd made for me as one of my Christmas presents one year was this big board about the size of the whiteboard, but it wasn't like I think it was actually a dry erase board, and then she took and made photos with magnets on the back of them for all these different houses and pictures of tons of the NPCs on the magnets. So you could put this, okay, who's living in this house, who's over here, and you can move people around, and we could actually look and see what the exact house looks like. And then if you had an addition, you could put that on there or whatever. So the third prop we have for the game is still in existence. You can see that. That is the chantry. The chantry grounds, the different houses with some notes on there. And then there's this. Yeah. This is very, very, very large. What this has in it are pictures of a lot of the characters. I have files, some of them we didn't bother to print out, but not only are there pictures here, but they're character sheets for every single NPC in there. Character sheets, skill points, everything. All the characters are in here. That is my character, Milton Ryan Cobb. As you can see, quite like the name Ryan. I used that then. I said, well, why not use that later? Of course, he was a dream speaker who eventually became a Baruti. And the game was very, very different from any other game that I've ever played. Very, very, very different. Most of the time, what I'd seen before that, people would create a plot. They would have a plot or have some plots and so forth. And what I really learned from playing this game is it's all about the NPCs. It's 100% about the NPCs. My wife didn't really have, all these kind of plots. We basically had everything driven off the NPCs, everything. Okay, well, you're not with her, you're not with him. This starts happening. And my character, being the only player there, is horrendously ill-suited for it. So, because he hated confrontation. Imagine that, me playing a character that doesn't like confrontation. But it did. And a very, very good aligned character, too. I mean, this guy was hardcore, neutral good. Very, very good. So it's just another oddity. For the longest character I ever played. Way more hours on this character than the other. He's a Baruti, and the Baruti are basically a bard. What the character concept was is, we just started him from an unawakened individual without any kind of tradition, and sort of, just worked around in the darkness, figured the whole deal out. And he eventually becomes a dream speaker, eventually becomes a Baruti, and along the process, she keeps kind of, she had all these scenes with the Avatar interacting with me, and she kept kind of pushing me to kind of come up with, in character, to kind of come up with something that was going to be a big kind of launch off point. And what I'd already built the character up to be, he was a musician, but he wasn't a high school level musician, high school level athlete. He wasn't an amazing musician, but that's sort of what his avatar came in to be. He became this incredible musician. So he basically ends up becoming the biggest rock star in the world. Just incredibly huge rock star. And we go through that, look around. In fact, I have another prop wrapper somewhere. Oh, here we are. The calendar for the game, the calendar book. And in there, we'd go through there every year and run through, mark out everybody's information. So you'd have, basically like a planner. Okay, these are all the characters in this book, right? So I have their birthdays lined out. That's right. I do a lot of work when I'm a player in a game. I will do a lot of information. Sometimes I'll be like, hold on. Even when I'm playing with Matthew, so I'm like, hold on. You give me a minute to thumb through my notes here to try to find out what I need. But I had numerous notebooks. I'd go through there for each CD that he put out and write song titles. I'd write information about the songs, what they're doing, because how he used his magic primarily was through the inspiration of music. He would perform music in a fashion and tie in magic to the music, so it was actually sealed and faceted in with Prime into the very CDs that he put out. And what his whole deal was is to awaken large numbers of people, to awaken the masses, and then to also have programmed into the music directions to come. And he would bring new people in. So we constantly had new recruits coming in. So we had loads of files of new pictures. Okay, here's 30 new people that have come in from the new recruit program. You guys set it up to have this day. And then we would sort of farm out. Okay, we had these people come in. Now we're going to send you off to, you're clearly designed to be in the Order Hermes. And we had tons of resistance. People, oh, why wouldn't people resist it? They did. Oh, God, did they? The Akashic Brotherhood, they almost killed my character. Well, at least tried. Maybe, I don't know how well that would go for them or not, but he had big problems with them, so we had to come to a political understanding. My character, what he was doing was highly unorthodox, highly difficult, and just something that other mages really couldn't do. So people were like, so we had this whole big, important deal there built up that put this gigantic technocracy target on him. And it kept, the power level just kept escalating. It was quite interesting because my character himself was pretty powerful. If we use experience points, the amount of hours we played, if I had one experience point per 4 hours we played, I would have nothing. My sheet would have been completely full, completely full. And there would be a huge number of experience points there. So we didn't do any of that. Just when it made sense just to advance that. And, he was so tied in with the Dream Seekers, he was sort of the guy that they were really looking at to make sure, what he did, they were supporting what he did would go off. And of course, Cold Ecstasy really carefully supported the character as well. And that really led into some interesting things. Of course, he's in the entertainment industry, so I was bringing in real people. Okay, we're going to look at who in the music industry could be awakened. So, we had people as NPCs that you would play, Paul McCartney, David Bowie, people like that, okay, Paul McCartney is a member of the Cult of Ecstasy, David Bowie is a member of the Cult of Ecstasy, and these people, of course, were cultural icons, so it totally makes sense that they would, for the revolutionary aspects that they provided to the world, why wouldn't they be a mage? Why wouldn't they be awakened? If you're going to pull someone out, why not? It certainly made sense to me, and it added to the game. It was very interesting, the takes she took all these different people, and there were more besides those. Now, like I said, so with this, I'd go through there and I'd write down, when we ever had something important, we would write out when everyone's birthday was in the chances. My character would get very, very nice and make sure I'd come up with stuff, okay, we'll get this person this for their birthday or something. So again, we're going really deep into character, way deeper than I've ever been able to get in any other game. Any other game master, they don't have birthdays for, 100 characters, and then we doing things for them, and having those politics, those interpersonal relationships, and building those interpersonal relationships is really kind of sealing the deal. Okay, well, I'm on a house with her now. This guy, is upset. And you bring that in. The game really had a lot of the flavor, sort of a real world. Listen to the MTV show Real World meets World of Darkness, and some people might say, "Oh, that doesn't sound good," but it was awesome. It was all about drama, and drama is really the vehicle that motivates, the game. It motivates all this. Why, you don't need to go out and kill hit marks and do all this silly shit when you can have something just as simple as another cabal there is upset with you over some petty bullshit. Because let's face it, in real life, some petty bullshit will get people upset. And we go into looking at, okay, people are really looking to learn that life sphere, because in real life, in a game where you're not just running around killing hit marks and doing, tacky shit like that, when you're really getting into the in-depth aspect of playing in character, life is the sphere you want to have. I will guarantee, trust me on that. Life, there's no one out there that wouldn't rather have 3 dots of life than 5 dots of all the other spheres together. Life is an amazingly overbalanced, incredibly powerful skill if you're playing realistic. If damage is no longer, something that has a high level of value to you, life is an incredibly good skill. Now, or incredibly good sphere. So, you'd have people, slowly making themselves more and more beautiful, and would have that sort of aspect in there, and then the politics around the character's band, the different people who come in and out, and how these things would evolve. Certain people would get very upset with each other in the chantry, and things, particularly early on, would even lead to some people being killed. So we'd have those big high drama spikes and so forth, and the character was pushed inward. So it was almost this whole world was sort of the chantry, and the chantry wasn't just. We were in Midlothian, which is about 30 minutes. I'm sure the Big Brady Man will know this one. About 30 minutes south of Chicago. So maybe 40 minutes south of Chicago. That's where we had set up our chantry, and then we had other areas that we had linked once we got more and more powerful. Once we built up nodes, building up an Umbra realm, and we had like a large area in Malibu and in Los Angeles that the character owns. We'd go there and then do things there. But the character really couldn't go very many places outside the chantry, because it took so much security to go with him, because he's a giant screaming beacon of come give me Technocracy, come give me, and they tried, lots of times, and I really wouldn't be surprised if the game ends at some point with my character getting killed by the Technocracy, which would be completely fine, it would make sense, but with the amount of security he has, it certainly would be a huge investment in the Technocracy. Now, I don't really want to go too much on that, because I could do like 18 videos on the whole problem with Technocracy, but assuredly they were there. Now, the other things I keep track of, my character built up lots of things, because there's so many obstacles in the real world, like to doing television or having a publishing company or making movies. Those completely disintegrate when you have loads of people with magic around you. They're just gone. So he owned all these different businesses, and he would do a lot of environmentally friendly things. His dream shipcraft are all a lot of aspects where he was trying to give back, to help people, to raise awareness, and he would, we keep track of the concert tour schedules, what country, what city, and what stadiums there were there. We keep track of, a lot of that minutia to really add details, like pull up like pictures. Oh, okay, that's what this stadium looks like, or oh wow, this stadium can hold 60,000 people. Wow, that's be awesome. And they would do like large festivals, like once every. I think he did like once every year, the RFF, Revolutionary Freedom Festival, and bringing together like all these bands who like research, like a lot of bands that would be sort of appealing to a character like that, and to start off slower, with smaller bands, and then he built up, where it's huge bands, like tons and tons of major people are playing at the event. He's going on stage with Paul McCartney, he's going on stage with Ringo Starr, he's going on stage with big names, and being able to play with them, of course. All the other members of the band were important NPCs. Now, the character, we did movies, and we would go through. One of the movies I had was basically a movie based around the what's it called? Well, Ziggy Stardust. I can't think of the whole name of the album, but basically around the Ziggy Stardust character that David Bowie had, and that whole album, which I think is one of the most perfect rock and roll albums ever made, and sort of portraying Ziggy Stardust and being in a movie and doing a musical movie with the Ziggy Stardust character. My character did that with like David Bowie as like an executive producer, and it was really interesting. We really got really into that, and the whole build-up thing with which TV shows he was on and the movies and so forth. And of course, those were all huge expenditures of resources. So it was an interesting deal. Like, if I needed to do something, other people probably wouldn't be able to go anywhere because it was such a massive expenditure of resources to go out places. And we even incorporated the Succubus Club, which is in Chicago, and the vampires, into the game. The vampires paid us like silly money just to come and be there at some period of time. So he did it first, and he was like, oh, wait a minute, these guys are kind of unwholesome. I might need to step back here. I can't really be involved with vampires. Of course, vampires would try to pull me in and enlist me, and I was like, no, I can't get involved with that, so. But I'd have my little schedule book there, and then you have that. I showed you my character there, Milton Ryan Cobb, the Baruti, and he was 17 when we started the game. He is somewhere in his early 20s now. I know off the top of my head maybe 2 years ago. And even here, you can see, we didn't go crazy. I have Correspondence 2, Entropy 1, Forces 2, Life 3, Mind 1. I have No Dots of Matter. I have Prime 3 and Spirit 4, and No Dots of Time. Like I said, if we were using experience points, literally every single dot on the character sheet would be filled in, and I would have to go into the master's book and fill all those dots in too, and just add in more dots to the sheet and fill those in, and there would be a massive number under experience. Well, I don't do that. I don't like that style. I will give you way too damn much experience, and even here, he doesn't have, most of his dots aren't really all that high. He is a 5 appearance, but it was a 3 when he started. It's just life working for you. And being coincidental enough with it. And I think that's his only 5. My charisma probably had to be a 5 too. Well, my manipulation is only a 2. My strength's only a 2. My perception, wit, stamina, dexterity are all 3s. My intelligence is a 4. Those aren't definitely aren't breaking numbers there. Willpower is 7. These are pretty reasonable. Now, of course, he had his own record label, so and a real record label, not like one of these real ones. So there's like another character. It's a row. It's just a different artist doing the same thing. And my wife would go through and find all these different pictures of people. So you can see there some of the different people, and these are some dream speakers. And then we had this picture of this kid. Like this guy, a kid that awoke when he was like 4. This one of my characters, like Guardian, Reiko. Oh yes, Tyrese. There's another dream speaker. In fact, these are all dream speakers here. I have to be careful what I show you guys here, because not all of these are closed pictures. It's a lot easier, I'll guarantee you, to find Ben, who was interesting, because Ben and Trey were like some of my characters better friends, but at times also rivals, and there was jealousy issues, and those sort of issues that would come up and come through the game with them towards him, not really vice versa. They didn't really like all the attention he got. It was very interesting. Roger, the head of our security, and we get multiple pictures of the same people, and like I said, we have files on disk of other NPCs. These are just, you might see the important ones, and I'm just going through tons and tons of people. I should pull pictures off from all kinds of different places. I have Rex. And you'd be surprised if some of these aren't famous people. So it's like, oh, I know that guy, or whatever. Just flip in here. Josh, I think that's like a Calvin Klein ad or something. Here's a bunch more people there. And again, you can see character sheets for all these guys. And, this stuff really wasn't way over the top. There's Tim. He was the producer. He was originally in the band. There's Reyes. He was my character's homosexual fashion designer, and he would keep my character's gear looking fresh. Let's see here. Alright, just kind of show you guys here a little bit. It's really hard to hold up and turn. It's actually quite heavy. So yeah, I'm gonna try to get some of those out. That was Cinder, who is my character's who is my character's wife. So I can't show you guys that one. Mallory. Find some other important characters here. Oh, of course, my character had family. That was his cousin, and we ended up awakening her. It was kind of interesting. We go through a lot of people's phases. There was my character's first girlfriend in the game, Arena Lynn Mackey. She's Thanatos, and they tried to put my character family. Definitely can't show you guys that one. Okay, don't go in there. Yeah, so you know, it was a very, very, very interesting game, and really, I learned more from that game than from probably any other, well, definitely from any other game that I played in, because I saw the tremendous importance of NPCs, why they're important, how to use them more. So not that I didn't do all that before, not that I didn't realize that was important before, but it was really interesting. My wife really should have a television show, like an animated television show. She could do a show with a cast like this, probably as large as The Simpsons, do every single voice on it. It'd be bizarre. I wouldn't look at her when we played. I would like sit in my chair and she would like on the couch. And she would do one voice after another, and flip between them, and have them like 8 of them talking to each other. I wouldn't even be involved. It would just be her, like 8 of them talking. It was absolutely flooring how many voices she could do, how perfectly she could do them, and how much she could hit them every single time. The character voices came off amazingly, and the characters really came off real. I mean, her NPCs. I mean, to get anyone else's NPCs like where I put them on a list. I mean, hers were probably the top 25. Like if everyone ever played, probably the top 25 NPCs were hers, and they were better than pretty much anybody's PCs too. Just absolutely amazingly intricately detailed characters with their own unique voice, with their own attitudes, with their own motivations. They're gonna attempt their own ideas, and of course, when you have a sexual relationship with the person you're playing with, that obviously opens up a lot more avenues of comfortableness. We're talking about in the video I did with mature topics in games. That's not going to be an issue there. So you can explore the sexual politics, sexual dynamics of other girls with a chance trying to get my character's attention, and or I can't just be like, well, whatever. I have to like think about that and consider that because of the ramifications. And that really would come out to be just absolutely very, very interesting in a lot of different ways. We'd have the characters, lots of drama. They'd be trying to vote. Oh, let's kick her out of the chantry. Let's kick him out of the chantry. And they would be voting. There'd be all the backdoor politics. I mean, it was wonderful. I mean, very much Illinois style. The people where a lot of them were very shady, corrupted, trying to get a piece, trying to get closer to my character, who had the money, who had the power. They were trying to get themselves further up in the pecking order, playing the politics. And there was so much politics there because, the position, ever so slightly elevating yourself. In fact, my wife kept track of dozens and dozens of characters, political ambitions and motivations, and the ones that were already set and like, oh, I don't care, versus the ones that are, really so hungry for a better position, being closer, greater ability to learn magic. Because, quite frankly, once my character was very interested in a person, he gave him lots and lots of additional attention, and that may well even result in if they were a customer or something, having them become awake, or if they are an individual that is on the lower end, maybe they're going to get better training, they're going to learn quicker, they're going to have better access to creating money for themselves, and so forth. So there were real legitimate motivations. I have these dreams. I want to be, a musician. Oh, okay. Well, I like you now a lot, so all right, let's go ahead and make that happen. Because after all, doing music when you're awake is pretty easy. If you just have a little bit of time, a little bit of forces, a little bit of life, a little bit of entropy, pretty much any of those spheres can pretty much get you well past where you need to be just to put together being able to sing, or being able to play the drums, or being able to play guitar, or whatever. With just a very basic amount of actual real knowledge, you can really leverage that upwards with those sort of skills. So this is a extraordinarily quick video on the topic for Sonic Lindsay 4. Hopefully this was everything you hoped and dreamed it would be. And I tried to talk quickly and go through as much as I could, because we're coming up on almost 25 minutes here. So, hopefully that gives you guys some kind of insight. So for me, I'm all about the NPCs, the relationships between the player character and the NPCs. Seeing the NPCs have their own relationships that are devoid of player character interaction. When you start having that, you start building that tapestry that makes things real. And once you have that reality of the game, it's really something special. Almost, very, very few games have that. I mean, that's well under 1% of all games ever. I would be very comfortable saying this Mage the Ascension game, not only the best game I ever played, but the best game of Mage the Ascension was ever run by anyone ever, period. The best anyone ever did with the product that was released of Mage the Ascension, because it focused on what you're supposed to focus on, the characters, the interpersonal relationships, the relationships people have with their avatars, with each other, with magic, with attempting to learn, with the chantry, with trying to make the chantry more powerful, with trying to work against certain things, even in their best interest, because it goes up to another interest, with basically all coming down to the NPCs and the politics. in so many, many, many different ways, overlapping, and really contributing to making the game something that was absolutely wonderful and a real treat to be able to play on. So hopefully that does answer your question. Huh?